Dr. Sarah Chen never imagined that her steady hands, trained to save lives in operating rooms, would one day hold a sniper rifle with deadly precision. The morning sun cast long shadows across the forward operating base in Afghanistan, where she had spent the last 8 months as a Navy medical officer attached to SEAL Team 6. Her reputation preceded her, the surgeon who had saved more lives than anyone could count, the woman who never lost her calm even when chaos erupted around her. The base buzzed with pre-mission energy as Sarah checked her medical supplies for the 3rd time that morning. Her pack contained everything needed to keep warriors alive: tourniquets, hemostatic agents, morphine, and surgical instruments that could mean the difference between life and death. She had memorized every item's location, could find anything blindfolded. This methodical approach had earned her the respect of every SEAL on the team. Commander Jake Morrison approached her station, his weathered face serious. Morrison had been leading SEAL operations for 15 years, and Sarah had learned to read his expressions like medical charts. Today something was different. The tension in his shoulders, the way his eyes scanned the horizon, she recognized the signs of a particularly dangerous mission ahead. "Doc, we need to talk," Morrison said, using the nickname that had stuck since her first week with the team. Sarah set down her medical kit and followed him to the briefing area, where satellite images and tactical maps covered every available surface. The intelligence was clear, but troubling. A high-value target had been located in a compound nestled deep in the mountains, but the extraction would be anything but simple. The target was Dr. Ahmad Rashid, a biochemist who had been developing chemical weapons for a terrorist organization. Intelligence suggested he was planning to defect, carrying crucial information about planned attacks on American soil. The window for extraction was narrow, less than 6 hours before Rashid would be moved to an unknown location, possibly forever beyond their reach. Morrison outlined the mission parameters with military precision. The team would insert via helicopter under cover of darkness, navigate 3 miles of hostile territory, secure the target, and extract before dawn. Standard operating procedure called for a 6-man team, but their designated sniper had been medevaxed the previous day with a severe case of food poisoning that left him completely incapacitated. "We're going in 1 shooter short," Morrison explained, his frustration evident. "Command won't delay the mission and there's no replacement available in time." Sarah listened intently, already calculating the increased risks this shortage would create for the team. Without proper overwatch, the SEALs would be vulnerable to enemy fire from elevated positions surrounding the compound. The briefing continued with detailed analysis of the terrain, enemy positions, and extraction routes. Sarah studied the satellite imagery with the same intensity she once reserved for medical scans. The compound sat in a valley surrounded by rocky outcroppings that provided perfect vantage points for hostile forces. Several buildings within the complex could hide snipers, and the single access road was completely exposed for the final 200 meters. As the team prepared their equipment, Sarah found herself drawn to the weapons rack where the unused sniper rifle sat. It was a Mk13 Mod 7, a precision instrument capable of engaging targets at extreme distances. She had fired similar weapons during her basic training years ago, but that experience felt like a lifetime removed from her current medical expertise. Chief Petty Officer Mike Rodriguez noticed her interest in the rifle. Rodriguez had been Sarah's closest friend on the team, the one who had helped her adapt to military life after years in civilian hospitals. He understood her better than most, recognizing the analytical mind that made her both an excellent surgeon and a potentially effective marksman. "You thinking what I think you're thinking, Doc?" Rodriguez asked quietly, ensuring their conversation remained private. Sarah continued examining the rifle, noting its similarities to the hunting rifles her father had taught her to use as a teenager in rural Montana. Those weekend trips to the mountains now seemed like preparation for something she could never have anticipated. "The physics are the same," Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was considering. "Wind calculation, bullet drop compensation, target leading, it's all mathematical. The only difference is the intended outcome." Rodriguez understood immediately. While her medical training focused on preserving life, the fundamental skills translated remarkably well to precision shooting. The conversation was interrupted by Morrison's call for final equipment checks. Sarah returned to her medical preparations, but her mind remained focused on the sniper rifle and the tactical advantage it could provide. She had sworn an oath to do no harm, but she also understood that sometimes protecting the innocent required difficult decisions. Evening approached with typical military efficiency as the team conducted final briefings and equipment inspections. Sarah loaded her medical pack with extra supplies, knowing that going undermanned increased the likelihood of casualties. She double-checked her night vision equipment and communication devices, ensuring she could coordinate medical care even in the most challenging conditions. The helicopter crews completed their pre-flight checks as darkness settled over the base. Sarah climbed aboard the transport with the rest of the team, her medical bag secured tightly to her chest. The familiar weight was comforting, a reminder of her primary mission and the lives that depended on her skills. As the helicopter lifted off into the night sky, Sarah caught Morrison's eye across the dimly lit cabin. He nodded slightly, a gesture of confidence that she interpreted as both reassurance and challenge. The mission ahead would test every member of the team, but Sarah felt ready for whatever awaited them in the mountains. Her training, both medical and military, had prepared her for this moment, though she couldn't yet imagine how dramatically her role would change before the night was over. The helicopter cut through the night air like a shadow, its rotors muffled by specialized technology designed to avoid detection. Sarah pressed against the small window, watching the landscape transform from flat desert to increasingly mountainous terrain. The mission was entering its most critical phase, the insertion that would determine whether they could reach their target undetected. Morrison spoke into his headset, coordinating with the pilot about landing zones and extraction points. The plan called for insertion 3 miles from the target compound, allowing the team to approach on foot through terrain that would conceal their movement. Sarah listened to the radio chatter, understanding enough military terminology to follow their progress toward the drop zone. The landscape below became increasingly hostile as they approached the mountains. Jagged rocks and deep valleys created natural choke points where enemy forces could easily ambush unwary intruders. Sarah studied the terrain with growing appreciation for the challenges ahead. Every ridge could hide hostile fighters, and the narrow paths between rock formations would force the team into vulnerable positions. Chief Rodriguez moved closer to Sarah, speaking quietly over the engine noise. "Once we're on the ground, stay close to Johnson," he said, referring to the team's communications specialist. "He'll keep you connected to Overwatch and extraction coordination." Sarah nodded, understanding that her primary role remained medical support. Despite the tactical complications created by their reduced numbers, the pilot's voice crackled through the headsets, announcing their approach to the landing zone. Sarah felt the familiar pre-mission tension as team members conducted final equipment checks. Weapons were loaded and secured, night vision devices activated, and communication systems tested one last time. The professionalism was absolute. These men had conducted hundreds of similar missions, and their preparation showed in every detail. The helicopter descended rapidly toward a small clearing nestled between rocky outcroppings. Sarah gripped her medical bag tightly, feeling the aircraft settle onto the uneven ground with barely a sound. The pilot's skill was evident in the smooth landing, despite the challenging terrain and complete darkness. Morrison moved to the door first, scanning the surrounding area through his night vision before signaling the all-clear. The team exited in practice sequence, each man immediately taking a defensive position around the landing zone. Sarah followed Johnson as directed, her medical training helping her move quietly despite the unfamiliar terrain. The helicopter departed within minutes, leaving the team alone in hostile territory, with only their equipment and training for protection. Sarah adjusted her night vision device and followed the team as they began moving toward their objective. The silence was profound, no insects, no wind, just the soft sound of boots on rocky ground, as 6 highly trained individuals moved through the darkness. The route to the target compound required navigating a series of narrow ravines that provided concealment but also created natural ambush points. Morrison led with practiced efficiency, using hand signals to coordinate movement and maintain tactical formation. Sarah stayed with Johnson in the middle of the formation, protected by the more experienced fighters but ready to move forward if medical attention was needed. 2 hours into the movement, the team encountered their first challenge. A small village blocked their most direct route to the target, forcing them to take a longer path around inhabited areas. The detour added precious time to their approach, but Morrison made the decision to avoid civilian contact, rather than risk compromising the mission. The alternate route led through terrain that was even more challenging. Loose rock that could easily give way underfoot, and narrow ledges that required careful navigation in darkness. Sarah found herself drawing on childhood experiences hiking in Montana mountains, using techniques her father had taught her for moving quietly through difficult terrain. Rodriguez dropped back to check on Sarah's progress, noting her adaptation to the challenging environment. "You're doing good, Doc," he whispered. "Keep it up and we'll have you qualified for mountain warfare school." His encouragement was genuine. Sarah's performance impressed the veteran SEAL, who had seen many support personnel struggle with the physical demands of special operations. As they crested a ridge overlooking the target valley, Morrison called a halt for final reconnaissance. The team spread out in defensive positions while he studied the compound through high-powered optics. The intelligence had been accurate. The target building was clearly visible, along with several guard positions and patrol routes that would need to be avoided. Sarah used the break to check her equipment and review medical procedures she might need during the assault phase. The compact trauma kit contained everything necessary for immediate life-saving treatment, but working in combat conditions would test skills she had only practiced in training scenarios. Morrison's voice came through the communication system, barely audible even through their advanced headsets. "Compound confirmed. 6 guards visible, likely more inside. Target building is the 2-story structure on the eastern side." Sarah studied the layout through her own optical device, noting the distance from their position to the compound and the challenging terrain that separated them from their objective. The plan required the team to descend into the valley, cross approximately 800 meters of open ground, and reach the compound without detection. Once there, they would need to neutralize guards silently, locate and secure the target, and extract to the pickup zone before dawn. Every phase carried significant risk, but the absence of sniper overwatch made the approach particularly dangerous. As the team prepared to move into the valley, Sarah noticed movement on a ridge opposite their position. Through her night vision device, she could see at least 3 figures positioned with clear sight lines over the compound and surrounding area. The enemy had established their own overwatch positions, creating a deadly crossfire that would catch the SEAL team in the open. Morrison saw the same threat and immediately called another halt. The enemy positions commanded every approach route to the compound, making a conventional assault impossible without unacceptable casualties. The mission was balanced on a knife's edge. Success required neutralizing those overwatch positions, but the team lacked the long-range capability to engage targets at that distance. Sarah studied the enemy positions through her optics, calculating distances and angles with the same precision she applied to surgical procedures. The mathematics of long-range shooting were similar to medical calculations, precise, unforgiving, and requiring absolute accuracy to succeed. Her mind began working through solutions even as Morrison coordinated with the rest of the team to assess their options. The realization came suddenly and with absolute clarity. Sarah understood that her medical training, combined with childhood shooting experience and natural analytical abilities, might provide the solution their mission desperately needed. The decision would require abandoning her medical role temporarily, but the alternative was mission failure and possible team casualties that would far exceed any help she could provide as a medic. Sarah's voice cut through the tactical communication system with unexpected authority. "Commander, I can take those shots." The silence that followed her statement was deafening, broken only by the distant sound of wind across the rocky terrain. Morrison turned to look at her through his night vision device, his expression unreadable in the green-tinted darkness. "Doc, this isn't a medical procedure," Morrison replied carefully, his voice carrying both concern and curiosity. "We're talking about precision shots at 800 meters in hostile territory. One missed shot compromises the entire mission." Sarah understood his hesitation. She was asking to transition from her role as a healer to something fundamentally different. Rodriguez moved closer to the conversation, having overheard Sarah's proposal. "Commander, I've seen her qualification scores from basic training. She's not just talking about playing soldier. The woman can actually shoot." His endorsement carried weight with Morrison, who trusted Rodriguez's judgment about personnel capabilities. Sarah began explaining her reasoning with the same clinical precision she used when discussing medical procedures. The wind speed is minimal, visibility is excellent through night vision, and the target positions are stationary. Range estimation puts the furthest target at approximately 750 meters, well within the rifle's effective range. Her analysis impressed the team members who understood the technical aspects of long-range shooting. Morrison studied the enemy positions again through his high-powered scope, considering Sarah's proposal against the alternatives. The mission timeline was critical. They had less than 4 hours before the target would be moved, and calling for additional support would take too long. The enemy overwatch positions made conventional assault impossible, but long-range elimination might create the opening they needed. "What about your medical responsibilities?" Morrison asked, voicing the concern that Sarah had been wrestling with herself. "If someone gets hit during the assault, we need you focused on medical care, not providing sniper support." The dilemma was real. Sarah could not simultaneously serve as both medic and sniper during the critical phases of the mission. Johnson, the communications specialist, offered a solution that demonstrated the team's adaptability. "I cross-trained as a combat medic before specializing in communications. I can handle immediate trauma care if Doc takes the shots." His offer provided the tactical flexibility. Morrison needed to consider Sarah's proposal seriously. Sarah retrieved the sniper rifle from Rodriguez, who had been carrying it as additional equipment. The weapon felt familiar in her hands despite the years since her last precision shooting experience. The M13 was heavier than the hunting rifles she remembered from childhood. But the basic principles remained unchanged: proper breathing, sight alignment, and smooth trigger control. She began assembling the rifle with movements that surprised the watching SEALs. Her medical training had given her exceptional fine motor control and familiarity with precision instruments. The scope mounted smoothly, and she checked the weapon's zeroing with professional efficiency that spoke to underlying competence with firearms. Morrison made his decision with the same decisive authority that had made him an effective leader. "Doc, you have the shot. Rodriguez, spot for her and provide backup if needed. Johnson, prepare to assume medical responsibilities during the assault phase." The team adapted to the role changes with remarkable flexibility, testimony to their professional training. Sarah positioned herself at the optimal shooting location, a natural rock formation that provided both stability and concealment. The enemy positions were clearly visible through the rifle's scope. 3 fighters positioned to provide overlapping fields of fire over the compound and surrounding approaches. Each target would require a precise shot at extreme range under combat conditions. Rodriguez settled beside her with ranging equipment and a backup rifle, ready to provide technical support and take follow-up shots if necessary. "Range to the first target is 730 meters, he reported quietly. "Wind is calm, no significant atmospheric disturbance. You have ideal shooting conditions." Sarah adjusted the scope for the calculated distance and studied her first target through the high magnification optics. The enemy fighter was positioned behind a low stone wall, with only his head and shoulders visible. The shot would require exceptional precision to ensure immediate incapacitation, without alerting the other overwatch. Positions, her breathing settled into the controlled rhythm she remembered from years of surgical procedures. The same focus that allowed her to perform delicate operations under pressure, now channeled into the precision required for long-range shooting. The rifle's trigger felt familiar under her finger as she aligned the crosshairs with mechanical precision. Morrison monitored the situation through his own optics, while coordinating with the rest of the team. The timing would be critical. Sarah needed to eliminate all 3 overwatch positions within seconds to prevent the survivors from alerting the compound's defenders. The margin for error was non-existent. "First target acquired," Sarah reported through the communication system. Her voice carried the same calm confidence she used when reporting surgical findings. "Ready to engage on your command." The transition from medic to sniper was remarkable. Her medical training provided skills that translated perfectly to precision, shooting under pressure. Rodriguez verified the target identification and confirmed the shot parameters. Target confirmed, range and wind verified. Clean shot available. His professional assessment gave Morrison the information needed to authorize the engagement. The mission's success now depended on Sarah's ability to perform under conditions she had never experienced. The seconds stretched as Morrison weighed the decision against alternative courses of action. The enemy positions dominated every approach route, making conventional assault virtually impossible. Sarah's proposal offered the only realistic chance of mission success, but it required trusting a medical officer with responsibilities far outside her normal duties. "Doc, you are cleared to engage," Morrison finally announced. "Take the shots in sequence from left to right. We'll begin our approach as soon as the overwatch positions are neutralized." Sarah acknowledged the order while maintaining her sight picture on the first target, her finger moving to the trigger with surgical precision. The moment that would define the rest of the mission had arrived. Sarah's transformation from medic to sniper was about to be tested under the most demanding conditions possible. Everything depended on her ability to apply medical precision to military necessity, bridging two professions that seemed fundamentally opposed but shared more common ground than anyone had realized. The first shot would announce her transition from someone who saved lives to someone who took them in service of a greater mission. Sarah's breathing steadied as she prepared to cross that line, understanding that sometimes protecting the innocent required making the hardest choices possible. Sarah's finger applied steady pressure to the trigger, with the same controlled precision she used when making surgical incisions. Her breathing slowed to the rhythm she had mastered during countless operations. Deep inhale, partial exhale, hold, and execute. The crosshairs settled perfectly on the first target as her body achieved the stillness required for extreme precision shooting. The rifle recoiled against her shoulder with surprising gentleness, the advanced muzzle brake and stock design absorbing most of the energy. Through the scope, she watched the first enemy fighter drop silently behind his stone barrier, eliminated with surgical precision at a distance of 730 meters. The shot placement was perfect. Instant incapacitation, with no opportunity for the target to alert his companions. Rodriguez confirmed the hit through his spotting scope while Sarah was already transitioning to the second target. "Clean kill, target down," he reported quietly through the communication system. Second target is still unaware. Maintains his position at 760 meters. Sarah adjusted her aim point for the slightly increased distance, compensating for the additional bullet drop. The second target presented a more challenging shot. The enemy fighter was positioned at an angle that exposed less of his profile, requiring precise shot placement to ensure immediate neutralization. Sarah calculated the adjusted aim point with the same mathematical precision she applied to medication dosages, understanding that even small errors would have catastrophic consequences. Her medical training proved invaluable in ways she had never anticipated. Years of steady-handed procedures under pressure had developed extraordinary fine motor control and the ability to execute precise movements despite stress and adrenaline. The rifle felt like an extension of her body as she aligned the crosshairs with mechanical precision. The second shot broke cleanly, sending another precisely placed round across the valley to its intended target. Sarah maintained her sight picture long enough to confirm the hit before transitioning to the final overwatch position. Rodriguez called the successful engagement while Sarah was already calculating the parameters for her third and most difficult shot. Target 2 down. Moving to target 3. Sarah reported with the same clinical detachment she used when providing surgical updates. The transformation was remarkable. The gentle doctor who had dedicated her life to healing was executing precision shots with deadly efficiency, bridging two seemingly incompatible professions with natural grace. The third target required the most challenging shot of the sequence. The enemy fighter was positioned 810 meters away, partially concealed behind rocky cover that left only a small target area exposed. The increased distance required additional elevation adjustment, and the target's position demanded absolute precision to ensure clean neutralization. Morrison watched the engagement through his own optics while coordinating the team's movement toward the compound. Sarah's performance exceeded every expectation. Her shots were placing with surgical precision, eliminating threats with an efficiency that impressed even veteran warriors. The medical officer was proving herself capable of deadly accuracy when the mission demanded it. Sarah settled into her shooting position for the final engagement, making minute adjustments to account for the increased range and challenging target presentation. Her breathing controlled to the familiar rhythm that had seen her through thousands of medical procedures. She aligned the crosshairs with mathematical precision on the barely visible target area. The physics were identical to surgical planning. Calculate angles, account for variables, and execute with absolute precision. Sarah had spent years making life-or-death decisions with instruments that required steady hands and perfect control. The sniper rifle was simply another precision instrument, one that demanded the same exacting standards she applied in operating rooms. Rodriguez provided final confirmation of the shot parameters while monitoring for any signs that their position had been detected. Range 810 meters, wind remains negligible, clear shot to target area. You're cleared for final engagement. His professional support gave Sarah the confidence to execute the most challenging shot of her life. The third rifle report echoed across the valley as Sarah completed the elimination of the enemy overwatch positions. Through her scope, she confirmed the final target's neutralization before scanning the area for any additional threats. The enemy positions that had dominated the compound's approaches were now silent, cleared by precision shooting that impressed every member of the SEAL team. Morrison's voice carried newfound respect as he coordinated the team's advance toward their objective. Outstanding shooting, Doc. All overwatch positions neutralized. Team, begin approach to the compound. Sarah began disassembling the sniper rifle while transitioning her mindset back to medical responsibilities, knowing that the assault phase would likely generate casualties requiring her primary skills. Team's movement toward the compound proceeded with tactical efficiency now that the overwatch threat had been eliminated. Sarah packed the rifle and resumed her position with Johnson, who had capably assumed temporary medical responsibilities during her shooting sequence. The role transition demonstrated the team's adaptability and professional excellence. Rodriguez moved alongside Sarah as they approached the compound, his expression conveying admiration that went beyond professional respect. Doc, that was some of the finest shooting I've ever witnessed. 3 for 3 at extreme range under combat conditions. That's sniper school material right there. His praise was genuine, coming from a veteran who understood the difficulty of what Sarah had accomplished. Sarah focused on returning to her medical responsibilities while processing the magnitude of what had just occurred. The transition from healer to warrior and back again had happened so naturally that it felt almost routine, despite being completely unprecedented in her experience. Her medical training had provided skills that translated perfectly to precision shooting when the mission demanded it. The compound loomed ahead as the team closed the final distance to their objective. Sarah's medical kit was ready for immediate use, but her confidence had been transformed by successfully engaging targets at extreme range. She had proven to herself and the team that her capabilities extended far beyond traditional medical support when circumstances required adaptation. Morrison coordinated the final approach while noting how Sarah's successful shooting had changed the team's dynamics. The medical officer who had earned respect through her healing skills had now demonstrated warrior capabilities that impressed seasoned special operations veterans. Her transformation from medic to sniper had been seamless, proving that exceptional individuals could excel in multiple roles when missions demanded flexibility. The next phase would test whether Sarah could transition back to her medical role with the same efficiency she had shown as a sniper. The assault on the compound would likely generate casualties that required immediate medical attention, returning her to the life-saving work that had originally brought her to the team. Her ability to shift between roles would prove crucial in the challenging minutes ahead. The compound's outer perimeter was breached with precision timing that would have been impossible without Sarah's elimination of the overwatch positions. Morrison led the team through carefully planned entry points while Sarah transitioned her mindset from sniper back to combat medic, her trauma kit replacing the rifle as her primary instrument. The approach to the main building revealed additional security measures that intelligence had missed: tripwires connected to alarm systems and concealed fighting positions that could have devastated an unwary assault force. Sarah noted these defensive preparations with clinical interest, understanding that her long-range shooting had prevented what would have been a catastrophic ambush. Rodriguez moved alongside her as they approached the target building, providing security while Sarah prepared for potential casualties. "Stay close to the entry team," he instructed quietly. "If someone goes down, we need you focused on medical care, not worrying about tactical movement." Sarah nodded, understanding that her primary value remained her medical expertise despite her proven shooting capabilities. The building's first floor was cleared room by room with methodical efficiency. Sarah followed close behind the assault elements, ready to provide immediate medical attention if the room clearing generated casualties. The defenders inside were surprisingly well trained, but the elimination of their overwatch support had disrupted their defensive coordination, enough to give the SEALs a crucial advantage. Gunfire erupted from the second floor as the team encountered the target's security detail. The engagement was brief but intense, with automatic weapons fire echoing through the building's concrete corridors. Sarah heard Morrison's voice through the communication system, reporting contact and requesting medical support for a wounded team. Member Johnson had taken a rifle round through his left shoulder during the room clearing operation. Sarah reached his position within seconds, her medical training immediately taking over as she assessed the wound and began treatment. The transition from warrior back to healer was instantaneous. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency to control bleeding and stabilize the injury. Entry and exit wounds, no major vessel involvement, Sarah reported while applying pressure to the bleeding. Her clinical assessment was delivered with the same calm precision she had used when calling sniper shots minutes earlier. Johnson remained conscious and alert, his training allowing him to continue providing tactical communication despite his injury. Rodriguez provided security while Sarah worked on Johnson, his respect for her medical abilities matching his admiration for her shooting performance. "How bad is it, Doc?" he asked, needing to know whether Johnson could continue with the mission or required immediate evacuation. Sarah's assessment would determine how the team proceeded with their objective. Through and through missed major structures. "He can continue the mission with proper stabilization," Sarah replied while applying advanced trauma dressings. Her medical expertise allowed Johnson to remain operational, despite a wound that would have sidelined someone without proper immediate care. The combination of her medical skills and tactical understanding proved invaluable. Morrison coordinated the final phase of the building clearance while Sarah completed Johnson's treatment. The target, Dr. Rashid, had been located in a secured room on the second floor, along with crucial intelligence materials that exceeded their original mission parameters. The biochemist was cooperative but terrified, requiring careful handling to ensure his successful extraction. Sarah packed her medical equipment and prepared to move with the team toward the extraction point. Johnson was mobile despite his injury, testimony to both his professional toughness and her medical intervention. The mission was proceeding according to plan, but the most dangerous phase lay ahead, moving through hostile territory while carrying a valuable asset and a wounded team member. The extraction route required retracing their path through the mountains while avoiding enemy patrols that had been alerted by the compound assault. Sarah monitored Johnson's condition while helping to secure Dr. Rashid, who carried intelligence materials that could prevent attacks on American civilians. The stakes had elevated beyond simple target extraction. Morrison received reports of enemy movement converging on their position from multiple directions. The compound assault had triggered a massive response from hostile forces in the area, creating a tactical situation that required immediate adaptation. Sarah realized that her sniper capabilities might be needed again before they reached the extraction point. "Doc, we've got problems," Rodriguez reported through the communication system. "Multiple enemy elements moving to intercept our extraction route. We might need your shooting skills again before this is over." Sarah checked her rifle while maintaining her medical focus on Johnson's wound management, preparing to transition between roles as circumstances demanded. The team's movement through the mountain terrain became increasingly challenging as enemy forces attempted to establish blocking positions along their route. Sarah found herself calculating shooting solutions while simultaneously monitoring Johnson's medical status, her mind operating on multiple tactical levels simultaneously. The combination of medical and combat responsibilities tested her professional abilities to their limits. Dr. Rashid proved to be more than just a cooperative target. His knowledge of the terrain and enemy tactics provided valuable intelligence that helped the team avoid several ambush positions. Sarah appreciated the irony that their mission to extract an intelligence asset was being supported by that same asset's local knowledge and strategic understanding. They approached a ridgeline that commanded the final approach to the extraction point. Sarah identified enemy movement that threatened to compromise their helicopter pickup. The hostile forces were establishing positions that would make extraction impossible without eliminating the threat. Her sniper capabilities would be needed one final time to ensure mission success. Morrison made the tactical decision without hesitation. "Doc, we need you on the rifle again. Rodriguez, provide medical support for Johnson while Sarah takes the long shots." The team adapted to role changes with professional flexibility, demonstrating the adaptability that made special operations successful under challenging conditions. Sarah retrieved her rifle and began establishing a shooting position while Rodriguez assumed temporary medical responsibilities. The transition between medic and sniper was becoming natural, proof that exceptional individuals could excel in multiple roles when missions demanded ultimate flexibility. Her unique combination of medical precision and shooting capability was proving invaluable to mission success. The final engagement would test whether Sarah could maintain her shooting accuracy while managing fatigue and stress from hours of combat operations. Her medical training and handling extended procedures under pressure would prove crucial in maintaining the precision required for long-range shooting when the team's survival depended on her accuracy. Sarah positioned herself behind a rocky outcropping that provided both concealment and a clear line of sight to the enemy positions threatening their extraction point. The hostile forces had established 3 separate fighting positions covering the helicopter landing zone, making pickup impossible without eliminating the threats. Her rifle felt comfortable in her hands despite hours of combat stress and fatigue. The enemy positions were located at varying distances between 600 and 900 meters, requiring precise range calculations and elevation adjustments for each target. Sarah's medical training in calculating exact dosages translated perfectly to ballistic computations. Both required mathematical precision, where small errors produced catastrophic results. Her analytical mind processed the shooting solutions with clinical efficiency. Rodriguez provided spotting support while monitoring Johnson's medical condition and coordinating with Morrison about extraction timing. First target at 620 meters, second at 750, third at approximately 890, he reported through the communication system. Wind remains minimal. Excellent shooting conditions for all 3 positions. Sarah studied each target through her scope, while calculating the engagement sequence that would provide maximum tactical advantage. The enemy fighters were well positioned but had not detected the SEAL team's overwatch position, providing the element of surprise crucial for successful long-range engagement. Her breathing settled into the controlled rhythm that had become familiar. During her transition from medic to sniper, Morrison coordinated with the extraction helicopter, while Sarah prepared for the final shooting sequence of the mission. Extraction bird is inbound 5 minutes to landing zone. Doc, we need those positions cleared before the helicopter arrives or we'll lose our ride home. The timeline was critical. Helicopter exposure time needed to be minimized to prevent enemy engagement. Dr. Rashid remained calm despite the tactical situation developing around him, his cooperation proving invaluable as the team prepared for extraction. Johnson's wound was stable thanks to Sarah's medical intervention, allowing him to continue providing communication support despite his injury. The team's adaptability under pressure demonstrated the professionalism that made special operations successful. Sarah engaged the first target with the same precision she had demonstrated earlier in the mission. The range was the shortest of the 3 positions, but the target presentation required careful shot placement to ensure immediate neutralization. Her medical expertise in anatomy provided knowledge of precisely where to aim for instant incapacitation, combining her healing knowledge with warrior necessity. The rifle's report echoed across the valley as Sarah's first shot found its mark with surgical precision. Through her scope, she confirmed the target's immediate neutralization before transitioning to the second position. Rodriguez called the successful engagement while Sarah was already calculating the adjusted parameters for her next shot. Target 1 neutralized. Moving to position 2, Sarah reported with clinical detachment. Her voice carried the same calm confidence she used when providing medical updates during complex surgical procedures. The transformation from healer to precision shooter had become natural, demonstrating the adaptability that exceptional individuals could achieve under pressure. The second target required compensation for increased range and a slightly different angle of engagement. Sarah adjusted her scope and breathing rhythm while accounting for the additional bullet drop at 750 meters. Her medical training in fine motor control and precision instrument manipulation translated perfectly to the requirements of extreme-range shooting. Her second shot was equally precise, eliminating the threat to their extraction with mechanical efficiency. Rodriguez confirmed the hit, while Sarah was already transitioning to the final and most challenging target. The enemy position at 890 meters represented the extreme range for her rifle and shooting capabilities, requiring absolute precision under combat conditions. Morrison received confirmation that the extraction helicopter was approaching the landing zone, making the elimination of the final threat critically urgent. "Doc, we need that last position cleared now. The bird is inbound and needs a clean landing zone." Sarah understood the pressure but maintained her methodical approach to precision shooting, knowing that rushing would compromise accuracy. The final target presented the most challenging shot of the entire mission. The enemy fighter was positioned behind partial cover at maximum effective range, requiring precise shot placement and perfect execution under time pressure. Sarah calculated the ballistic solution with the same mathematical precision she applied to complex medical procedures, understanding that failure would compromise the entire mission. Her breathing controlled to surgeon-steady rhythm. Sarah aligned her crosshairs with mechanical precision on the distant target. The shot required compensating for significant bullet drop and maintaining perfect sight alignment despite fatigue and stress. Her medical training in performing delicate procedures under pressure provided the mental discipline needed for extreme-range shooting. The final rifle shot of the mission broke cleanly, sending a precisely placed round across 900 meters of mountain terrain to eliminate the last threat to their extraction. Sarah maintained her sight picture long enough to confirm the successful engagement before beginning to pack her rifle for movement to the landing zone. Rodriguez confirmed the final target elimination while the team prepared for immediate movement to the extraction point. "All threats neutralized. Landing zone is clear for helicopter approach," he reported to Morrison, who coordinated with the incoming aircraft. Sarah's shooting had cleared the way for successful mission completion under conditions that would have made extraction impossible. The helicopter touched down in the designated landing zone as the team reached the pickup point with their valuable asset and intelligence materials. Sarah helped load Johnson into the aircraft, while ensuring Dr. Rashid was properly secured for the flight back to base. Her medical responsibilities resumed as primary focus now that the tactical situation was resolved. Morrison conducted a final head count as the helicopter prepared for departure, noting that mission success had been achieved through exceptional teamwork and individual performance that exceeded all expectations. Sarah's unique combination of medical expertise and precision shooting capability had proven decisive in overcoming tactical challenges that could have resulted in mission failure. As the aircraft lifted off from the mountain landing zone, Sarah reflected on the night's events while monitoring Johnson's medical condition during the flight. Her transformation from medic to sniper and back again had been seamless, proving that exceptional individuals could excel in multiple roles when circumstances demanded ultimate adaptability and professional excellence. The debriefing session at the forward operating base took place 12 hours after the team's successful return, allowing time for initial medical treatment and equipment maintenance. Sarah sat across from Morrison and senior intelligence officers, still processing the magnitude of what had occurred during the mountain mission. Her transformation from medic to sniper had saved the mission, but the implications extended far beyond a single tactical success. Dr. Rashid's intelligence proved even more valuable than initially anticipated. The biochemist had provided detailed information about planned chemical attacks on 3 major American cities, intelligence that enabled law enforcement to prevent attacks that could have killed thousands of civilians. Sarah's precision shooting had not only saved her team, but potentially prevented a humanitarian catastrophe of unprecedented proportions. Johnson's shoulder wound healed completely within 6 weeks, testimony to both his physical conditioning and Sarah's immediate medical intervention under combat conditions. He returned to full duty with newfound respect for the medical officer, who had both saved his life and eliminated threats that could have killed the entire team. The experience created bonds that would last throughout their military careers. Morrison's official mission report detailed Sarah's exceptional performance in terms that exceeded standard military commendations. Her seamless transition between medical and combat roles demonstrated adaptability that impressed senior commanders throughout the special operations community. The report recommended her for advanced sniper training and consideration for permanent assignment to special operations units. Word of Sarah's performance spread through the SEAL community. With the speed that accompanies truly exceptional achievements, stories of the medical officer who eliminated 6 enemy targets at extreme range became legend among special operations personnel. Her unique combination of healing skills and warrior capabilities represented something unprecedented in military experience. Rodriguez submitted a formal recommendation for Sarah to receive advanced marksmanship training at the Navy's premier sniper school. His endorsement carried significant weight within the special operations community, based on his first-hand observation of her shooting capabilities under combat conditions. The recommendation initiated discussions about creating new training programs that combined medical and combat specialties. The psychological impact of transitioning from healer to warrior and back again required careful processing. Despite Sarah's natural adaptability, military psychologists worked with her to ensure that her dual-role experience did not create lasting conflicts between her medical oath and combat necessities. Her ability to compartmentalize different responsibilities proved remarkable, allowing her to excel in both roles without compromise. Sarah's medical skills remained her primary focus, but her proven combat capabilities opened opportunities that had never existed for military medical personnel. Special operations units began requesting her specifically for missions that might require both medical expertise and precision shooting, creating a new category of military specialist that combined traditionally separate skills. The intelligence gathered from Dr. Rashid led to a series of operations that dismantled the terrorist organization's chemical weapons program. Sarah's shooting had enabled the extraction that provided law enforcement with information needed to prevent multiple attacks on civilian targets. Her transition from medic to sniper had consequences that extended far beyond the immediate tactical situation. Training programs were developed based on Sarah's experience, exploring how medical personnel could be cross-trained in combat specialties without compromising their primary healing mission. Her success demonstrated that exceptional individuals could excel in multiple roles when properly trained and supported, leading to new approaches in special operations personnel development. Morrison was promoted to lead a new unit that specialized in high-value target extraction missions requiring both medical and combat capabilities. He specifically requested Sarah's assignment to the unit, understanding that her unique skill combination provided tactical advantages that could prove decisive in future operations. Her reputation within the special operations community continued to grow. The Mountain Mission became a case study taught at military training institutions, highlighting the importance of adaptability and cross-training in special operations. Sarah's performance demonstrated how traditional role boundaries could be transcended when exceptional individuals were allowed to apply their full range of capabilities under appropriate circumstances. Years later, Sarah would continue serving with distinction in both medical and combat roles, her reputation growing with each successful mission. The night she switched from medic to sniper became a defining moment, not just for her career, but for how the military approached training and utilizing multi-skilled personnel in special operations. Her story inspired a new generation of military medical personnel to pursue advanced tactical training, understanding that healing and fighting skills could coexist within the same individual. Sarah had proven that the traditional boundaries between different military specialties were less rigid than previously believed, opening new possibilities for personnel development. The SEALs who served with Sarah that night never forgot her performance under pressure. Her transformation from medic to sniper and back again demonstrated the adaptability and courage that defined the best of special operations personnel. She had earned their respect not just as a healer, but as a warrior who could deliver precision fire when the mission demanded it. The legacy of that Mountain Mission extended beyond military circles, inspiring medical professionals to consider how their skills might translate to other challenging fields. Sarah's story proved that exceptional individuals could excel in multiple demanding professions when they possessed the right combination of talent, training, and determination to transcend traditional boundaries. Morrison would later say that watching Sarah transition seamlessly between saving lives and taking them was the most impressive display of professional adaptability he had witnessed in 20 years of special operations. Her performance that night established a new standard for what was possible when exceptional individuals were allowed to apply their full range of capabilities in service of mission success.